The rain was falling so hard that night, it looked like the whole city was trying to wash away its pain. Cars rushed through the streets of Chicago, people kept their heads down, and nobody noticed the young woman sitting alone near the bridge, except one man. Ethan Parker almost kept driving. But one small decision changed 2 lives forever. Because the woman he saved that night was hiding a truth so heartbreaking, it would leave him speechless. Before we begin, welcome to Kindness Story Hub, the place where emotional stories remind us that kindness can still change the world. If stories like this touch your heart, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and comment below where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more powerful stories of hope and humanity. Ethan Parker was 32 years old and worked long shifts as a delivery driver in Chicago. Life had not been easy for him lately. His father had passed away the year before, bills were piling up, and every day felt exactly the same. Wake up, work, come home exhausted, sleep, and repeat. That cold November evening, Ethan just wanted to get home. The storm outside was terrible. Rain hammered against his windshield while strong winds shook the trees along the empty streets. He stopped at a red light near an old bridge on the south side of the city when he noticed something strange. A woman sat alone on a bench beside the bridge. She wore a thin gray coat completely soaked from the rain. Her head was lowered, and her hands trembled from the cold. Cars passed by her without stopping. Ethan looked away at first. Not my problem, he whispered to himself. But as the light turned green, something inside him refused to move on. He sighed deeply, pulled his truck to the curb, and stepped out into the freezing rain. "Hey," he called gently. "Are you okay?" The woman slowly looked up. She appeared to be in her late 20s. Her eyes were red from crying, and her face looked pale with exhaustion. "I'm fine," she answered quietly. Ethan knew she wasn't. "No offense," he said, "but nobody sits in the rain like this if they're fine." For a moment, she said nothing. Then tears rolled down her cheeks. "I don't have anywhere to go," she admitted softly. Ethan's heart sank. Her name was Lily. She explained that she had been staying with a friend, but after an argument, she was kicked out that evening. She had no family nearby, very little money, and nowhere safe to sleep. Ethan hesitated. He didn't know this woman. The smart thing would have been to call a shelter and leave. But something about her broken voice reminded him of the loneliness he felt after losing his father. "Come on," he finally said. "At least let me get you something warm to eat." Lily looked shocked. "Why would you help me?" Ethan shrugged awkwardly. "Because somebody should." They drove to a small 24-hour diner downtown. The waitress gave them hot coffee and chicken soup while thunder rumbled outside. At first, Lily barely spoke. She kept staring into the steaming cup between her hands like she was afraid this moment would disappear. But slowly, she opened up. She told Ethan she used to work as a nurse in Milwaukee before her life fell apart. Her mother became sick, hospital bills drained their savings, and after her mother died, everything spiraled downhill. Depression cost Lily her job, her apartment, and eventually most of her relationships. "I feel invisible now," she whispered. "Like nobody sees me anymore." Ethan listened quietly. That was something he understood better than anyone. After dinner, Ethan paid the bill and drove Lily to a nearby motel. "You don't have to do this," Lily said as he handed money to the front desk clerk. "I know," Ethan replied. "But everybody deserves one safe night." Lily's eyes filled with tears again. Before walking to her room, she stopped and turned back toward him. "You have no idea how much this means to me." Ethan smiled gently. "Get some rest." For the first time in months, Ethan drove home feeling lighter somehow. The next morning, he expected life to return to normal. But he couldn't stop thinking about Lily. Something about her sadness stayed with him. So later that evening, he returned to the motel to check on her. The clerk frowned when Ethan asked for her room number. "She checked out early this morning," he said. Ethan felt strangely disappointed. Days passed. Then weeks. Winter slowly covered Chicago in snow, and Ethan assumed he would never see Lily again. Until Christmas Eve. Ethan was making his final delivery of the night when his truck suddenly broke down near a crowded shopping district. Smoke rose from the engine while frustrated drivers honked behind him. "Perfect," Ethan muttered. He climbed out into the freezing cold and stared hopelessly at the damaged truck. Then a familiar voice called out behind him. "Looks like you need help this time." Ethan turned around in disbelief. It was Lily. But she looked completely different. Her hair was neatly tied back, Her coat looked warm and clean, and there was life in her eyes again. "Lily," Ethan said, shocked. She smiled warmly. "I've been trying to find you for weeks." Ethan couldn't believe it. Lily explained that after that night at the diner, something changed inside her. Ethan's kindness gave her enough hope to keep going. She contacted an old co-worker who helped her find temporary work at a medical clinic. Slowly, she started rebuilding her life. "But that's not the real reason I wanted to find you," she said quietly. Ethan noticed her expression suddenly grow emotional. "There's something you deserve to know." She took a deep breath. "The night you found me on that bridge. I wasn't just sitting there because I had nowhere to go." Ethan felt his chest tighten. Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I was planning to jump." The world around Ethan suddenly felt silent. The traffic. The snow. The noise of the city. Everything disappeared for a moment. "I had completely given up," Lily whispered. "I thought nobody cared whether I lived or died anymore." Tears rolled down her cheeks as she continued. "Then you stopped." Ethan couldn't speak. "You treated me like I mattered," Lily said. "You listened to me. Fed me. Gave me a safe place to sleep. You saved my life that night, Ethan, and you didn't even know it." Ethan felt tears sting his own eyes. All this time, he thought he had simply helped a stranger for one evening. He never realized how close Lily had been to disappearing forever. "I don't know what to say," he whispered. "You don't have to say anything," Lily replied. "I just needed you to know." For a long moment, snowflakes drifted quietly around them. Then Lily reached into her bag and handed Ethan a small envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. On the front, it simply said, "To the men who reminded me the world still has kindness in it." Ethan later read the letter alone in his apartment that night. Every line hit deeply. Lily wrote about the darkness she had been living through. She described how invisible she felt, how hopeless life became after losing her mother, and how she truly believed nobody would notice if she disappeared. But then one stranger stopped his car in the rain. One stranger chose kindness instead of indifference. And because of that moment, she decided to keep living. At the bottom of the letter, Lily wrote something Ethan would never forget. "Sometimes people don't need a miracle. Sometimes they just need one person who cares." Months later, Ethan and Lily stayed in touch. Lily continued working at the clinic and even started volunteering at homeless shelters on weekends. She often shared her story with people struggling through depression and loneliness. And Ethan? He changed too. Before meeting Lily, he believed kindness was something small that rarely mattered. But now he understood something powerful. You never truly know what someone is carrying inside. The cashier smiling at you may be fighting silent pain. The stranger sitting alone may feel completely forgotten. And one simple act of kindness, one conversation, one moment of compassion, might be enough to save a life. So the next time you see someone hurting, don't look away. Because kindness costs so little, but its impact can last forever. And sometimes, the person you save without realizing it, may end up changing your life too. If this story touched your heart, remember to subscribe to Kindness Story Hub, like this video, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that kindness still exists in this world. And always remember, even the smallest act of compassion can become someone's reason to keep going.